All right, welcome back to Dance Studio Owner Life Coaching. Today, I want to talk about shoulda, coulda, woulda. And what I mean by that is how can we release ourselves from regret and rebuild self trust? So, I just want to talk about this because I hear this a lot from a lot of you. And this is when I hear people say, I should do this and I should do that. I hear people say this, and it's like they're putting themselves down as if they're not good enough, as if they're not whatever they think they should be to please other people. So I think it's important to kind of unpack that. Um, there's definitely times in all of our lives where we say things like, I should have known better, or I shouldn't have done that. Um, and this kind of thinking, when we hold these thoughts and say these things to ourselves, or even out loud to others, it can create feelings of guilt, self-doubt, and burnout. Like we just constantly pouring negativity over ourselves when we are quite literally shooting all over ourselves. So, um, I want to kind of talk about the trap of the should thinking and the should statements. You know them. I should be doing more marketing. I shouldn't have taken that time off. These should statements are almost always based on what we think others around us believe we should do rather than what we truly want. And when we do this, right, when we create these statements, say these statements, we start to believe these statements, right? We create unrealistic expectations. We create internal guilt and self criticism. We make decisions that actually just benefit others, but not ourselves. And we lose sight of our own values or goals because we're thinking about how other people will perceive us, what they might want, what they want us to do. And there's also times when we place our shoulds on others, on our family, on our staff, on our dancers, on our customers, the parents, right? We place our shoulds on others. And then when they don't meet those expectations, they don't meet our shoulds, then it results in frustration, anger, and resentment. Um, this is called like the cognitive distortion. When I talk to clients about this, because typically what happens is I'll talk to one of my clients and we're discussing any number of topics within, life and studio ownership. And they'll say something like, oh, I should do this, or I need to do this. And I'm hearing it as a pattern. And the cognitive distortion here is that they are motivated to do things based on other people and the motivations outside of them. And the reason why they're not doing the thing that they have been saying out loud that they should be doing is because the motivation is not coming from within them. They don't actually want to do these things, or maybe they don't want to do them right now, or maybe, just maybe, they don't even know what they want. And so when we have motivation outside of ourselves, we get to this place of feeling like we're just not doing something right. Maybe something's broken. Maybe we just need to, quote unquote, get our act together. I just need to get my act together, Ginger. That's what they say, right? And I get it. This is hard because it's part of the human experience, right? But I want to tell you, like, you are not broken. You are human and you're fabulous and wonderful. And there's nothing that is wrong with you if you do this. I think one of the things that's important is that we just recognize when we catch ourselves saying these things, when we catch ourselves judging others for not living up to our expectations, and when we get bent out of shape and spend more time than we want to thinking about these things. Um, so how do we get out of this cycle, right? We've talked about the what. So like how do we get out of this cycle? So we talked about this in a prior episode about just what do you want? And so I want to remind you to reconnect with your own wants. We want to shift from obligation to motivation. Remember, I talked about how when we do these shoulds, we are focused on an outside, external to us motivation. And the reason why it's so hard to get on track um, when things are motivating from outside of us is that means that there's no connection to the inside of what we actually want, what actually we think we would like to do. Um, so you want to acknowledge that we are in a business where we serve others, right? We are business owners. We operate in service to others' expectations. And so this is where it gets tricky. Because we are in the service to others, we're in a service-based business, that feeling and the fine line between what we want and what our customers expect is a difficult road to walk. So I invite you to reflect. What do you actually want, independent of what you think you should want? They're two different things. And then what decisions would feel aligned if you weren't trying to please everyone else? So, if you're the type who likes journaling, you can write this out, right? Here's your prompt. If I trusted myself completely, I would, then you fill in the blank. If I trusted myself completely, I would. What do you want? What would you do? What would you decide if you weren't trying to please others? How might you treat other people if they didn't have to live up to your expectations? And how might your relationships be different, right? There's so much that can change when you kind of face these thoughts because you kind of start to feel lighter, kind of start to feel a little more confident. Um, you feel like the pressure to perform and be what other people want you to be is released. And when you actually turn around and listen to what you're saying and you acknowledge that you're making all these should statements, you're able to realize the difference between beliefs and facts. This fascinated me. I heard this on another podcast, and um, what the coach was saying, her name is Corinne, she was saying, your beliefs are just thoughts that you've thought so many times that you believe that it's true. Think about that. Your beliefs are just thoughts that you've thought so many times that you believe it's true. And beliefs are not facts. They are not always facts. Facts are truth. So here's a perfect example, right? You may believe that your customers want a certain type of team jacket. And because of that belief, you go crazy trying to find something affordable. Because you also believe that while they want a certain type of team jacket, they don't want to spend more than a certain amount of money. So then you might do things like spending a lot of time and energy trying to figure out how you can source it more cheaply. And then you might even decide, I'm just going to get the machine and I'm going to cut the vinyl and press them myself to save money and make more margins. And we go into this. Now, by the way, I am bringing this up because I was an early adopter of the Silhouette vinyl cutting machine. I want to say I got mine back in like 2012. Okay. That 2012. I got the Silhouette machine. I cut vinyl. I did it for the windows. I did it for shirts. I did it for hoodies. I did it for warm ups. I did it all. I did the vinyl cutting. I did the design on the software. I weeded the designs. I made the transfers, then I got the iron, and then that wasn't enough, and then I got the heat press, and I did all the things, okay? I was in the thick of it because the belief was people didn't want to spend a whole bunch of money on apparel, but we wanted them to have merch. And um, it seemed as though the cost was less because I was doing the work. In retrospect, I understand now that the money saved on not having an outside vendor do the work ended up being money that should have gone to me because now I'm doing the work. I'm taking the time, I'm spending the hours, I'm ordering the supplies, I'm doing all those things, right? And so it didn't actually save us anything. I mean, on the surface, it seemed to, but if I actually paid myself the value of what I brought to do all that work, then I would have gotten paid that, and the company would have not made any more money than it would have had we ordered just straight from another vendor who does this all the time. In fact, I got to the point where I was stressed sometimes, like, oh my gosh, we got more orders and I got to do that. And then it's winter break and then I got this. And I had to do so much because I had this belief. But the truth, the actual facts were if they see something they really like and they value, they're going to pay for it. It doesn't matter that it's $40 more. If it's good quality and it's going to last, then they wanted it. But I had this belief in something else. So you see, beliefs are not facts, they're just beliefs. And that's hard. That's hard to hold on to and understand, right? It's hard to accept that things that we've believed for so long, these are things that are thoughts, and not all beliefs are facts. Now, some beliefs are facts, and I don't want to take away from that. But when it comes to statements like this about what we should do or what others should do, oftentimes we are just putting unrealistic expectations on ourselves and others. We're putting expectations on ourselves and others around behavior and actions, but we forget to take into account where we're at in our life, what's going on, what's realistic, what the truth is. So, um, it's important to remember to check ourselves, right? And when we do that, we're able to check ourselves and question our mind when we go down the road of a belief that is holding us back, when we go down the road of a belief that is causing us to act in a way that's not consistent with our values, and we're able to make a difference. And so I want to wrap this up by saying when you recognize that you're stuck in this should thinking, examine whether it's your belief or someone else's and reconnect with what you actually want. And so I have a small challenge for you. Let go of just one should. Let's try it for today. Take one tiny action towards something that you want. So you're going to let go of one should and take one tiny action towards something that you want. Now, if this is the kind of thing that has you stuck right now, I totally get it. I invite you to go to my website, gingerhaithcox.com/coaching, and go ahead and book your 15-minute free breakthrough call. We'll figure out where you're stuck, talk about these should statements, sort out your beliefs from the facts, and figure out what's the next right step for you. Until next time, take care, my friends.